Hello everyone, today we're going to look at alternative options for eggs in recipes, especially in baking. When we have an egg in a recipe, especially a baking option, it plays a vital role. One of the main role that an egg plays is that it has a binding property. So as a binding agent in a recipe, it ensures that all the recipes and other ingredients easily blend in together and create a good structure that prevents maybe a cake from breaking into pieces or falling apart. The egg also plays another important role, which is it acts like a moisture. So the moisture in a recipe makes the food more soft and tender. There are other functions like flavor. It adds flavor to the food. It gives the baking a texture, and it also maybe sometimes causes a leavening effect. So for people that are vegetarian, especially those that don't use any animal-based product, it can sometimes become very hard for them to be able to establish what option will they have, especially when they want to do baking or when they want to make something that requires a texture or flavor or something that comes from egg. So with that regard, we're going to look on how flaxseed can be used as an alternative option for egg. And the flaxseed plays similar way that an egg acts in a recipe, So it has the binding effect. So flax works exactly the same way an egg works. So it helps to hold the ingredients together. And it also has a moisturizing effect, similar to that of an egg from an hen. So for a baking, once you use the flax egg, which you're going to show shortly how to make, it helps give the recipe a tender, moisturized texture. As well, flax seeds, they also have a leavening effect. So like this, although they don't provide same kind of magnitude of a leavening as a traditional egg, they can also help, especially for certain recipes, to cause the rising effect. It also contains health fats, which include omega-3 fatty acids, and these fats can add richness and contribute to the overall texture of a baked product. And a nutrition boost is another benefit of any baking that is done using the flaxseed. So today we're going to really explore how can we be able to make a flax eggs that we can be able to use in any kind of cooking. Before we go ahead and start making the egg, I'll also want to slightly focus on the health benefit of a flaxseed egg. One is, as just mentioned, it's rich in omega-3 fatty acids. It's also rich in fiber, and it also offers a plant-based protein alternative, especially for the kind of cooking we are going to do. And it's rich in lignans. So flax seeds are rich in lignans, which is more of an antioxidant compound that once taken, it offers different potential health benefits. So these include like hormonal regulation, and some studies suggest that it offers a counteract against Fanta. Studies also suggest that the lignans is potential cancer fighting property. And when we consider the flaxseed eggs to the other traditional eggs, they're actually cholesterol free, meaning they are more suitable for individuals that will want to reduce their cholesterol intake and maybe even attain factors like reduced weight. And unlike the traditional egg, flaxseed eggs are allergy friendly. So as an alternative, they do not have any allergic reaction. So they are the best alternative for people that easily get or are prone to allergy. So to make a flax eggs, there are many tips that we need to take into account. For instance, in our case, we just have the flaxseed. We need to grind this using our blender. Yeah, we need to grind this into a fine powder. So the powder is the one that we're going to use to make our flax egg. In that case, if you really don't have a blender, you can use any other item to grind these seeds into a consistent powder that you can get to use in the recipe. So it can be used in a number of recipes. One of these days you will get to interact with some of these recipes, but you can make muffins, you can make cupcakes, you can make cookies, and even bread. They are very effective as an alternative for egg. So you need to keep in mind as well, flaxseed might add a slightly nutty flavor into your baking, and because they're brown, you see they're brown, they can get to add a brown coloring into your food as well. So we'll go right ahead. I'm going to grind this. So I'm going to add and convert this into a grounded powder. I'm going to just peel off the cover. Yeah, I'll just show you the way they look. So these are the flaxseed. So my blender just takes around 100 grams. So this is what I'm going to grind. This goes to the maximum level. So I'm just going to flip this. Yeah, so I've grounded this. So the seeds that we need initially add from our blender, they have been grinded into a fine powder. Yeah, I'm going to preserve some of this and use later. So we don't really need much. We're going to just measure a teaspoon. That is enough and equivalent to one piece of one egg. So I'm going to preserve some of this into my jerry can here. So it has a sweet smell like any other. It has a smell similar to that of groundnuts or most of the nuts and coconut. So I'm going to put some of this into the jerry can. Yeah, so this is what I have. This will go to my storage. I'll use this later. So for our current recipe, we're just going to make an equivalent of 1 egg, and for that I'll need one tablespoon of the flaxseed powder, and to this I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of water. So this is 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, so once I'm done, what I do is I stir well to ensure that the water mixes completely with the flaxseed. So once I have stirred enough, I'll let this mixture sit here for about 5 minutes. During this time, the texture will thicken and it will establish more of a jelly-like, similar to that of a jelly-like texture, similar to that of a real egg. So I'm going to let this rest here for 5 minutes, then we'll come back and look at it. After sitting for about 5 minutes, I want us to look at the texture, how much it's changed. It's becoming more like a jelly. a jelly like flour, and this is now what you use for your baking. After sitting for about 5 minutes, I want us to look at the texture. It becomes more like the egg white gel. It's slimy in a way, so it just flows off the spoon. And this is now what we use for our baking.